When you hear the phrase cheating in sports, your first thought is probably PEDs, bribing the refs, or some other behind-the-scenes scam. But in this video, we'll focus on the blatant cheaters and those who tried to bamboozle the system in the world of endless instant replay. Here are the funniest, cheekiest, and most elaborate examples of athletes caught cheating on camera. J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith is famous for his blunders, mishaps, and faux pas, even more so than he is for his acrobatic dunks and three-point shooting. Not knowing the score in the deciding moments of the NBA Finals, dapping Jason Terry mid-game, and allowing a layup are just some of the highlights in his WTF portfolio. But for those times he didn't get fined, he just screwed his team. However, cheeky Mr. Smith did get fined when he made a habit of undoing shoelaces when his opponents were shooting free throws. But the NBA soon realized what he was doing and took some dollars from the pockets of this ingenious man. Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is one of the most intelligent point guards in NBA history, and he ranks second all-time in both assists and steals. As a player, Kidd used to get his way in every way possible, including running into an opposing coach who stepped onto the court, resulting in a tech for the coach and a free throw for Jason. When he retired and started coaching, Kidd employed similar trickery to try and gain an advantage. With 8 seconds left in the game and no timeouts left, Kidd was forced to improvise to get in another message to his players. While holding a drink in his hand, the camera recorded Kidd saying, "Hit me," to the passing Tyshawn Taylor. Taylor obliged and bumped into his coach, who deliberately spilled the soda he was drinking. While the mob boys were cleaning it up, Kidd had earned a free timeout to discuss last-second tactics with his players. However, his Nets would end up losing the game, and the NBA saw right through his little scheme, so he got a $50,000 fine as a bonus, making his drink the most expensive soda in the history of fizzy drinks. Salalosi. We've all seen videos of coaches raging on the sideline, and it often seems like they are more fired up than the players, and that they would give anything to be a part of the action themselves. That was the case with the New York Jets strength coach, Sal Alosi, who allowed himself too much and forgot that he wasn't a player anymore. A former linebacker, Alosi was standing near the sideline when Miami's Nolan Carroll was running in his direction during a punt return. In the heat of the moment, Alosi extended his leg into the field and tripped Carroll. In the 80s and 90s, I would call this move cheeky because there were not as many cameras and video checks, and this could have potentially been another successful tackle for Alosi. But this was 2010, and everybody could see that the coach did something extremely foolish. So he got fined by both the Jets and the NFL and got suspended for the season. Tom Brady. Out of all the scandals with the gate suffix, the Deflategate is arguably the most famous gate in American history, right up there with Watergate with Richard Nixon and Nipplegate with Janet Jackson. Unlike most sports, where the home team provides all the balls for the game, in the NFL, the away team has the opportunity to bring their own footballs for the offense. Tom Brady, a genius that he is, took advantage of that rule. The Patriots equipment manager deflated the footballs for Brady, making them easier to grip and thus easier to catch. When Brady threw an interception against the Colts in the 2014 AFC Championship game, the Deflategate started to unravel. DeQuell Jackson, Colts linebacker who made the interception, decided that he wanted to save the ball as a souvenir, so he gave it to his equipment manager, who noticed that something was off with the ball. At halftime, the NFL game officials inspected the Patriots' balls and concluded that 11 out of the 12 balls were deflated about 5% below regulation. The controversy resulted in Brady being suspended for 4 games. The team was fined $1 million and forfeited 2 draft selections. Sammy Sosa. When MLB bats break during the game, it's a nice moment in which the fans can appreciate the colliding power of the swing and the speed of the ball. However, when the broken bat contains cork, that's a problem, and it causes a scandal. You see, cork is lighter than lumber, which makes the bat easier to swing. Sammy Sosa used a corked bat in a game against Tampa Bay, and his dirty secret got out when his bat was shattered to pieces. He was ejected from the game and got suspended for 8 games. Will Smith. The man who shares the name with the Fresh Prince made national news in 2015 when he used sunscreen and rosin to improve his grip and help him pitch. To use a Rihanna lyric, Smith's forearm was shining bright like a diamond, and it was undeniable that he was cheating. Just like Sammy Sosa, Will Smith got thrown out of the game and received an 8-game suspension. Brian Carrasco. When I was a kid, I used to take the hand of my little brother, hit him in the head with it, and then asked him, "Are you hitting yourself?" Chile's Brian Carrasco did a similar thing in a game against Ecuador, but he took the hand of the opposing player and hit himself with it in order to get a foul. Even though the TV audiences realized his dirty and hilarious tactic, the refs did not, and they awarded a free kick for Chile. Crime sometimes pays off. Don't let anybody tell you different. Neymar. Flopping has always existed in football, but it has gotten gradually worse over the years. In the 90s and early 2000s, a player would exaggerate the contact a bit in order to get a foul or a penalty. In the last decade or so, players started selling out fouls and hits in the head to earn a red card for the opponent, and their flopping has gotten ridiculous. A prime example is Neymar, who faked an ankle injury like he had an open surgery on it without anesthesia. The opposing player never touched him, yet he screamed on the floor like a child, which didn't earn him any new fans. And just like his famous body roll, this Oscar-worthy acting gave birth to some of the funniest memes in recent sports history. Patrick Reed. The beauty in golf is that you have to take your next shot from the exact same spot where the ball is landed, not touching the ball or altering the surface, and changing the degree of difficulty of the shot. When the ball falls into sand, you can't move the sand around to make the ball more accessible. I'm confident that Patrick Reed knew of this, but he still tried to act a fool and be slick with it in the 2019 Hero World Challenge. On the 11th hole, Reed's shot fell into the sand, and while he was measuring and practicing his swing, he moved some of the sand out of the way with his club, thus making it easier to hit the ball. The officials realized that he tried to hoodwink the system, so he received a 2-stroke penalty for the 2 sand-brushing practice strokes he took. John Kwang Bom. If I can't have it, neither can you. That must have been the thought process of the North Korean ice skater John Kwang Bom, who appeared in the 500-meter speed race in the 2018 Winter Olympics. The 16-year-old Jong slipped and fell shortly after the start, which meant that his race was over. But once he hit the ice, he inexplicably tried to trip the Japanese skater Sakazume in the lane next to him, reaching over with his hand and trying to grab his skate. Even though the Japanese skater remained on his feet, the officials still ordered for the race to restart, thus giving another chance to Jong. In the restart, Jong made another contact with the Japanese skater, almost like he had some kind of personal vendetta against the guy. But justice was served, as the Korean fell down again, while Sakazume was able to finish the race and proceed to the next round. Romano Fanati. The guys who race in MotoGP are crazy by default, as it is undoubtedly the most exposing and most dangerous of all motorsports. But among this crazy bunch, Romano Fanati might be the craziest and most dangerous of them all. The Italian rider is notorious for his reckless riding and unsportsmanlike conduct on the track. In 2015, he argued with Nicholas Ayo mid-race, and then kicked him with his leg. In 2018, riding side-by-side with Stefano Manzi, Fanati decided it would be a good idea to grab the brake of his opponent's bike, who briefly lost the balance of his bike. Needless to say, this is highly dangerous, stupid, and illegal, and Fanati was quickly suspended after the race in both cases. The biggest name in the legend of MotoGP, Valentino Rossi, did a similar thing in the Malaysian Grand Prix in 2015. Just like Fanati, Il Dottore kicked his opponent Marc Marquez's bike mid-corner, causing Marquez to fall down. Rossi finished the race, but he received a penalty for the kick and had to start from the back of the grid in the next race. Shahid Afridi. There's nothing more delicious than a cricket ball, said no one ever. But in a cricket game between Pakistan and Australia in 2010, Pakistan captain Shahid Afridi did something unforgettable in order to win the game. Like he's biting into an apple, Afridi bit the ball on multiple occasions, trying to make it tougher for the Australians to play. He got suspended for ball tampering, even though I think he should have received some kind of award for innovation in cheating, or at least for his commitment to winning. A similar example happened in 2018, in a game between Australia and South Africa. Only this time, the ball tampering wasn't done with teeth, but with sandpaper. Australian player Cameron Bancroft tried to abrase the ball with the sandpaper, trying to make it harder for the opposing team to bowl. To make things worse, Bancroft tried to sneak his actions inside his pants, trying to conceal the sandpaper and the ball before his turn to throw. So in a way, he was trying to scratch the ball by acting like he's scratching his balls. But of course, everybody saw through this bamboozlement, and 3 Aussie players were banned from competition in this ball tampering scandal, with head coach Darren Lehman resigning.